Just to speak on hip hop and just being a Black male artist, yes, there are going to be people that do not agree with femininity or men kissing or things like that.
That the issues that hip hop is dealing with is just the issues of culture in general.
It involves the corporations that present music and images to people who, in my mind, have done Black people a disservice because they narrowly defined who we are as a people.
Rapper DaBaby facing the music after video surfaced earlier this week showing the hip-hop star making homophobic statements on stage in Miami.
He sort of makes jokes about people with HIV, makes jokes about gay men, and essentially tells the crowd that if you are not one of these people, put your cell phone in the air. It didn't take very long for that to become a flashpoint in kind of the public conversation.
So it wasn't just your run-of-the-mill homophobia. It was also talking about a global virus that killed millions of people, and that HIV is something that millions are still living with today.
And DaBaby's not the first person to say something ignorant. The example was made with DaBaby. And maybe that sent the message to others, don't cross that line, and people will get it and move forward. But now the next level is people got the warning, but now how can they get the better understanding?
Stop it with trying to justify what DaBaby did, and instead pump the brakes and say what he did was wrong. Stop. You don't need to try to expand it into some larger big picture item unless you're willing to do the work to expand it to a large big picture item in your own personal life.
I could be as gay, as effeminate, as flamboyant as I want to be. The same way I could be as loud and as Black and as ethnic as I want to be. But as far as me trying to convince you that I'm able to do that, that's not why I'm here. I kind of stumbled into making music organically, just being someone that was really into nightlife and really into clubs and just going out clubbing and being creative. And at that time, to be openly gay, it wasn't like a thing. For me, it wasn't about the money because we wasn't making money at the time. It was just about telling my story and just being a rapper. There's always been gay people creating rap, creating house, creating disco, creating art. When I got asked to do Hot 97, that's when it became like, oh, this is like giving like Black people actually are like talking about this now.
Evidence suggests that you're a gay rapper.
A rapper that happens to be gay.
Fair enough.
Those conversations need to happen because that's what brings awareness to things.
There is a certain bravado that comes with presenting lyrics in hip hop.
Ladies, they love me. From the bleachers, they screaming. All the ballers is bouncing. They like the way I be leaning.
And with that presentation, there can be caricatures of masculinity and toxic masculinity that goes along with that as well.
Broaching the subject of masculinity, broaching the subject of gays in hip hop was something that was done early on. Timon and Deep Dick Collective. There was a movement here to really push those boundaries within hip hop and bring folks to the forefront, or at least make folks aware, being able to have the nuances and, social and political mindset to see that there is more to masculinity than how it's been narrowly defined. I think that's a work in progress, and it's not limited to hip hop.
Because we know that just as there's LGBTQ people who influence other forms of music and other forms of art that are very popular, hip hop is not excluded from that.
Obviously, there are gay folks that are in there who we know and don't know, but when you play music that reflects where they're coming from, that may be an even bigger challenge. It involves the corporations that present music and images to people who, in my mind, have done Black people a disservice because they narrowly define who we are as a people. We can be angry, we can be thugged out, but we can't be intelligent. We can't be gay, we can't be a lot of things in our outward presentation because it doesn't satisfy people's bottom line. And until it starts doing that, then all of a sudden they'll open the doors.
Call me when you want, call me when you need, call me out by your name, I'll be on the way.
I'm thankful for everything that keeps happening to me, and I'm happy to be in a place where I can help others out, spread positivity.
I personally think Lil Nas X is just scratching the surface of what he is and what his sound is and what he represents. The next phase of his maturation is having art that has a greater commentary on the world in which he's existing. And those are the songs that I'm most interested in.
There's an audience that's educated. My kids could care less that he's gay. That doesn't register to them like, oh, this is an issue. It might register to somebody who's older, came up at a certain period of time, where it might resonate with some folks who are holding on to a particular definition of manhood. But do we focus on them, or do we start to build up the audience that does accept them? And do we work on those folks to say, okay, if you accept this, how can you be more inclusive in other arenas?
There are artists who are opening LGBTQ right now in hip hop who are trying to build momentum for their art, and shout out to them for being brave enough to do so.
Because there may be 1,000 artists that are gay, but then how will we know that they're there? If we're talking about who controls YouTube or who controls the playlist on Spotify, you got to bring them in and say, well, okay, you introduced these records, why not these other records?